Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of After the Sandstorm here on Gamecock Central. I am Kendall Smith, joined alongside of Collyn Taylor here at Williams-Brice Stadium, following South Carolina's 48-7 loss to the #1 ranked team in the country in the Georgia Bulldogs. And Collyn, let's just go ahead and get right to it. All throughout the week, Shane Beamer, Marcus Satterfield talking about how they wanted to see more creativity on offense and how they were going to try to bring that to today's game. So from your perspective, did you see any of that creativity on the offense today?
You saw a little bit of it. I mean, there were glances of it. Obviously, it came at some inopportune times for South Carolina. The DeCaron Joyner Wildcat package on that first third down. They had, it seemed like every time they tried to get creative and move and try something new, it tended to backfire. The Spencer Rattler rollout trying to find Juju McDowell on a throwback ended in an interception. So there were signs of it, but it backfired and they just didn't execute. And it lumps into this growing frustration offensively from a consistency standpoint. And we are kind of where we are a fourth of the way through the year.
So you asked a couple of players about that and Shane Beamer during the post-game press conferences. How do you kind of get back on track? What did you hear from them about where this offense can go from here and how they get better?
Yeah, a lot of it's consistency, and that's a cliche word that gets thrown around a lot, but it's reality. I mean, you've seen flashes of it at times with Juice Wells, with Jaheim Bell had a great grab today. You've seen flashes of it, but it's marred the 12 to 15 plays that you've seen some creativity and some flashes of an explosive offense has been marred by 60 plays where things just haven't gone right. And so that number needs to get a lot smaller from a haven't gone right perspective and a lot bigger from a goes right perspective. And the stuff that you need to do to win games, which is limiting turnovers offensively, scoring in the red zone, being really good on third down, they're just not doing, and they're not staying on script or on schedule enough to really be an efficient offense. And that's where you see a lot of these struggles that kind of manifested and came to a head today.
You mentioned a couple of those plays in today's game, that Wildcat package from DeCaron Joyner, the interception from Spencer Rattler earlier in the game after he hit Jaheim Bell on that great pass. Where do you think the wheels really came off the bus today for South Carolina? What was that point in the game for you?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a South Carolina team that can be forced to be one-dimensional, given how the offensive line struggled and they've been dealing with injuries this week with Jalen Nichols. So as soon as you go down 2 scores and it becomes a drop-back pass game, your play action kind of goes out the window. Your rollouts tend to be a little bit different because you're trying to push the ball down the field. And as soon as South Carolina threw that interception after the big play to Jaheim Bell, the game kind of turned. Georgia was able to take a 2-score lead, and it just really wasn't the same after that. And South Carolina couldn't claw back because it had to really kind of be one-dimensional, and you saw the result of that.
So I think a lot of fans are going to be asking the question of, is there still hope for the season? A tough start with South Carolina facing Arkansas and then coming right back to take on Georgia. Next week they've got Charlotte, then they've got South Carolina State the week after. Do you think there's still hope for the South Carolina team to get back on track, Collyn?
Absolutely, I do. Now, is it going to be winning the rest of your games and finishing, I guess, what would that be, 10-2? Probably not, but you have 2 weeks here against Charlotte's obviously gone through some struggles early in the season. SC State, I believe, is an FCS opponent. So you have 2 games to where you're able to kind of maybe work on a few things. And these next 2 weeks are going to be critical for South Carolina moving into what is going to be the back half of the season, where you have to figure some things out. Offensively, you have to get healthy defensively because they're a mash unit right now. So it really feels at this early stage in the season, you're kind of at a crossroads with how you go evaluating in these 2 games against non-SEC opponents, against non-conference teams that you're going to be favored against. You need to go out there and figure your offensive identity, get healthy defensively, and move forward from there and hope that propels you to 6, 7, 8 wins, which I definitely think 6 is on the table. 7's there too, but there's a lot of things you got to figure out before you get there.
All right, Collyn, thank you so much for your insight. Appreciate it, as always. I'm Kendall Smith. He's Collyn Taylor. This has been After the Sandstorm here on Gamecock Central from Williams-Brice Stadium following South Carolina's Week 3 loss to the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll have more on GamecockCentral.com, so check us out over there. Have a great rest of your Saturday, everybody.